We'll like the others are still joining in, but they'll get connected. Not a problem. So I start with an introduction from Vidya Santhanam. She's a program director, people function, heads OD and leadership development for Mindtree. She comes with over 14 years of experience in the industry, of which 10 years have been at Mindtree, where she has championed several culture building and leadership development practices and a strong focus in building a leadership pipeline across different career stages. One of the important initiatives rolled out by her team in the Women Leadership Development Program at Mindtree is a development journey titled Exuberance. Her earlier career was spent with iGate Global Solutions and Manpower Professionals, and she holds a degree from UPS Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship. Over to you, Vidya. I would like to introduce, I've done the introduction. You can just take over and share your viewpoints with the participants around.
Thanks for that. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar organized by Jobs to Work. It's a real privilege to be part of this forum because I strongly believe that everyone's a learner, and the forum is really to learn from each other. So just to take on from what the introduction also had, so I lead OD and leadership building for Mindtree. It's been a long journey for me in the organization. But there are a few key learnings which I have had as a professional and as a working mother, which I thought I would start and share with all of you. So the first key learning is that as I transition from early career to mid management to roles which required enterprise level influencing capability, I found that there was one factor which really distinguishes people as they move from one area, one career stage to another, which is on learnability, which we call learning agility in Mindtree's context. So when I looked around my organization and saw other role models who really were able to transition from one stage to another, I realized that the thirst for learning was very high, especially for people, and this is agnostic of gender, especially for people who were trying to move from one career stage to another. So that really got me to think as to how do I build learnability and how do I really seek new knowledge to make myself more relevant. So that was the first learning. The second key learning was when I transitioned from being from my maternity leave back to the organization. That was again a point when I felt that there were a lot of doubts in my mind as to whether I would be able to do it or not be able to do it. And what really helped me was to gain a sense of sponsorship within the organization. So I reached out to key people within the organization whom I believe were very open to having women professionals flourish and not necessarily be biased because of transitionary phases in careers. The second is I leveraged some of the policies and practices such as part-time working and moved from being a part-time worker gradually to becoming a full-time worker. So that really helped me. And the third is, I felt that at a certain point of time, one of the challenges which had been thrown before me was that I was not seeking new opportunities because I felt that probably it'll be too much to handle until one of my mentors came up and said that if you don't do it now, then 2 years later you probably may would turn back and say that why haven't you done so. So that really got me to think that I need to seek new experiences, and I did that. And over a period of time, the OD and leadership building portfolio was handed over to me. So these were three key learnings. One is on learnability. The second is on transitioning and using some of the mechanisms in the organization to make those moves. And the third is not giving up on certain opportunities, even if you're partly ready to take them on and then move forward. Just from there, another point which I thought I would share with the group is that, as Prima had mentioned, we anchor the Women Leadership Development Program at Mindtree. This is a program which focuses on leadership building among emerging women leaders who are in mid-management roles and are really transitioning in their career and trying to get even better and better at what they do. Uh, Even being part of the journey and by anchoring this process, there were certain revolutionary findings and learnings that we had internally. The first is the need to have a mentor within the organization is a very, very powerful instrument to really move forward or to jumpstart from where you are to where you want to be. So that was one key lever that we enabled for participants. The second is the importance of having a personal brand. Because if you really look around yourself, if you go to a supermarket, you always have brands which you pick up from the shelf because they have some kind of a recall for you. So, for instance, if you pick up Colgate, you would always think about freshness. Or let's say if I pick up Tata Tea, I know it stands for quality and possibly the best of tea estates from where these have been cherry picked. So, similarly, one of the important things that we bring forward to our leadership building platforms is what is your personal brand that you would want to be recalled for? And the third is on business appreciation, which is very, very important, especially in any organization that you're part of. The minute you understand the business, the more welcoming our stakeholders to listen to the person agnostic of gender. So these were some of the key learnings. So I'm just going to stop here and just hand it back to Jox for her to see whether there are questions or whether you want me to say anything further.
Thanks, Vidya. That was really useful, and your key points. I have always associated branding with products, with marketing, and how do you sell a product. But yes, branding yourself is also very important, and identifying where you stand, your market value, your marketplace is the key factor. That's what's very interesting. I would now like to open the floor to the participants. They can ask their questions either typing into the chat box and I'll raise it to Vidya, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Uh, Hi, good morning. My name is Soumya TV. I have two questions. One is what are the challenges you faced while you took a career break, and what are all the measures you took to overcome them? And the second question is, do you have any opportunities in Mindtree for people like us, for women on a career break, and how do we apply for it? I would like to know more about those programs. Thank you.
Thanks, Soumya. Two wonderful questions. So the first, I'll answer the first one, which is on challenges during a career break. I did take a break when I was transitioning from my maternity leave back to the organization. I took a long 1 year break, and I found that what I needed to do during my break, especially during the 1 year when I was trying to watch over my little one, is on reading to stay relevant. So I reached out to people within the organization to understand as to what are some of the top issues that were going on at that stage and just spend some time in self-learning, which I believed helped me when I transitioned back. The second thing that I did was to find a mentor within the organization who really believed in women transitioning back and flourishing of any break. So both these helped me out, the learning factor as well as the mentoring factor. To answer your second question, there are a bunch of career opportunities which are there on Mindtree's career site. We did do very specific drives to enable women to transition back. There was one which happened in October last year, and I'm sure there will be one which will be planned. The kind of opportunities that Mindtree has is for technology professionals. So any professional who's strong on some of the technology areas which are listed. We also hire for some of the enabling functions. Those hiring processes are a lot fewer, but they of course come up from time to time. For instance, for finance or for HR or for marketing. But predominantly, most of the hiring happens for technology or business professionals. So to answer your question, yes, there are a bunch of opportunities out there. And second is, yes, we do very specific drives for enabling women to transition back.
Thank you, Vidya. See, I have about 13 years of experience as a QA manager. So you have opportunities even for testing as of now for a role like this?
Yes, so these opportunities keep coming up, and so even for, let's say, for our testing practice or for quality, there would be opportunities which are posted on our career site. Uh, the opportunity for the technology professionals. So, for instance, let's say testing as a service line in Mindtree, those opportunities come up a lot more frequently and are available. So, if you visit the Mindtree's career site, you would be able to see some of those opportunities out there.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. This is Clara.
Yes,
Hi, Clara.
Clara, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Vidya. Nice talking to you. I have a question on. See, I have 10 plus years of experience in industry, and I am on break now. And if I want to go back to the IT industry, I am looking at a architect role. Okay, so in such openings, um, actually I have a Microsoft technology skills, and now of late I'm into front end. Is this sufficient, or do I need to learn something more in like big data or cloud, so that my future is safe or my career path is strong enough? Or what would be the future of architect professions
Yeah,
in the
it's a
industry?
very good question, and I would probably be able to answer this partly because I'm not in the technology architect group. However,
Okay.
there are two things that come top of mind. The first is, yes, there is definitely a lot of career opportunities for tech architects. Mindtree as an organization, we are something called a central architecture group, which basically owns architectural capabilities, and these architects are very integral part of projects. The other technologies that you spoke about, which is either cloud or big data or mobility or commerce or digital marketing, they are all very, very sought after technologies. They are part of our digital group. And we do see that getting skilled in some of these areas increases the market value. What I would encourage you to do is to probably speak to two or three people who are in this line of technology so that you could get a practitioner approach also to it. So just to loop back to an input on mentoring. So even when I was transitioning back, as I mentioned, I had a mentor who guided me to say that, focus on some of these areas. And that really helped back in the transition.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Vidya, this is International speaking. I have a question. I've been in the industry for nearly 16 years, and I worked lastly as a program manager in which I got the job on my own. Actually, I went on an independent visa and I worked there. Now, unfortunately, while I came to India, I didn't get through in the jobs that were coming up, or they were very, very less open. I want to know, can I still go for program manager role or having the break of say seven months over, or can I go for a role higher than a program manager? I personally feel I can do a role higher than a program manager, but the career break because of definitely unexpected. Would that be a hindrance for me to grow in my career, or should I go to a role lower just to satisfy the job roles that are coming season right now?
Uh, my apologies. The connection was bad, so I could not follow your question entirely. I did get one part of it to say that you've got 16 years of experience and you've been certified on program management, and now you're looking at transitioning back to work. However, the audio is not clear. Type your question. I'd be happy to answer it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll repeat it once again for you. What I wanted to know was, I have been in a program manager role, in a project manager role for the past 10 years. Okay. So now I am now looking to, and I want to get back to job. I want to know whether I can get into a program manager role itself, or should I go to a level lower, project manager, or okay, should I go for a level higher than a program manager, like somewhere like assistant vice president or director roles? Um, because I feel I'm confident to get into a role higher, but this break, would it be an impact to my growth?
Yeah, so this is again an organization specific stance that they take. Uh, the the higher roles, what I have seen, requires certain key experiences, and if you bring that to the table, then probably the organization would consider it. If you're transitioning back to the same role that you were playing a few years back, but are able to show additional capabilities that you've acquired, then it's definitely an added plus to transition seamlessly. So I have seen both happening in context to an organization, Lisa.
Okay. Because it's a bit confusing because nothing's happening. Neither am I getting a role below, neither am I getting the role I am in, and neither am I getting a role above me. So it's kind of confusing. What's happening? Is it that there are no openings at all, or is my CV not playing up to reach the expectations of the organization? These are the questions that just keep hindering me, or making me think what's happening. That's why I asked this question. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very valid question. And when I went through some of these similar thoughts when I was transitioning back, though I didn't leave the organization, they were definitely thoughts. So I'll talk about my own personal experience, and I'm not sure whether I could broad base it. But when I transitioned back to work, I transitioned to the same role that I was playing, and not a level up or down. The one thing which I did after that was to work on certain experiences which would help me move further. So I would think that most likely, so while I would request, I know it's a little trying and testing period. So please do be patient, and I'm sure Jobs for Her will have many more opportunities out there. You could apply for the same level that you're in, that you were, by showing some of the additional capabilities that you built even during your career break. It could be probably a certification that you've taken up. It could be a point of view that you've written on program management for the future that you would like to position along with your CV, because some of these really catch the attention of recruiters.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I'm working on it, and I've already done a few articles in LinkedIn and otherwise. So I'll probably work on those just so that I can show it out much more broadly, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Vidya.
Any other questions?
While we are waiting, I have one more question. This is Vidya. Do we have any particular site or an organization where we could request for mentors? Now that I don't have a company to support me, how can I get those mentors to probably guide me to the next level and the level after that? Could you advise if there are any mentors for that, whom I can tap into?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think Jobs for Her will also be able to add. But I've seen that there are a lot of organizations out there who are now getting external mentors connected with people. Biz Divas is one such organization whom we worked with. Jobs for Her, of course, can add in. There is another organization named Talking Cranes, which again has got a platform which connects individuals to mentors, and with a lot of good content on diversity and learnability and some of the new concepts that are out there. It will be interesting.
Vidya, could you repeat the organizations once again? I couldn't capture them.
Yes, so two which I've come across, which have got an external mentoring platform, is BizDivas, BizDivas. So I was personally part of one of their mentoring walks where we attended a mentoring walk and we were associated with a mentor from the industry. So that was very enriching. The second organization is Cranes. Talking Cranes.
Well,
CRAINS, is it?
uh, Lisa, even Jobs
Yeah,
for Her
yes.
has this kind of platform provided to our ambassadors, whereby we provide one-on-one counseling with them. The mentors is what they can interact with. So I think we can connect later on, and I can give you the details onto it.
All right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello. I'm, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your
Yeah,
question.
I'm Prema from Bangalore. I have a particular question. I have 7 years experience in the industry with the testing quality and documentation. After that, I have 7 years gap. Then recently I completed my post graduation MTech from VTU. So I would like to know what is the opportunity with this background, especially with the after long gap. And it's an experience with the BE qualification, and then I did post graduation. So I would like to know where do I fit in. I don't know. I really am confused about it.
Are there any career choices that you have in mind? For instance, would you want to be only in testing, quality, QA, and you're trying to get into such teams, or do you have other options that you have in mind?
Yeah, most probably that only technical writing and testing or quality work related work, because I have experience in that only.
Sure. So I don't think I could answer the question directly. I would just need to think through this. Let me just bounce it off with probably one other person in Mindtree and come back to you
Okay.
so that you have the right, direction on this. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, fine. Because I don't know where do I stand now. Like as part as the industry has gone ahead so far, I have a long gap. Uh, I mean, that's what. Recently, I completed my post graduation last November. I have completed from RNSIT Bangalore with 81 percentage. I don't know where do I stand as of now. Like just now, I'm looking out. Especially, I want to work from home for a couple of months, say 5, 10 months, as I have a young kid. Later, I want to start. Full-time job. So I want to have suggestion and guidance in this regard.
Definitely. What I will do is I will email Soumya the answer if I don't have access to your email ID so that you get that over.
Yeah, I can give it here, my email ID on this chat box.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Vidya, we have one more question on the chat box here. Hi, I'm Arti from Bangalore. I need to know about the gender diversity program at Mindtree. Also, how to apply for the retinue internship program in your organization. I have 3 years of experience in Java development. So, how she basically wants to know how is gender diversity program at Mindtree.
Yeah, thanks for the question. We looked at diversity in Mindtree as a 17-year-old journey, and it's not about a policy or a program, but really about shaping mindsets. That's how we like to believe it. Right from inception, our founding member team, as well as the leadership team, which came together to create an organization, had diversity as a very, very core area to focus upon. So we started with creating the physical infrastructure which would enable Mindtree women to do a lot better in the company. So we have facilities such as Babies Day Out, which is prevalent in every Mindtree facility where moms and or even dads can come and plug and play and watch their children play as they work. We then moved into creating a daycare facility as well. Some of the policies which have enabled the diversity programs are, part-time working, three-fourth time or half-time work. We have apps now for women so that they can learn, especially when they transition from maternity breaks back to the organization. Most important is that when women make such transition, there is a single point of contact in the organization which enables this transition into projects so that the managers are also equally involved in their onboarding. I've already touched upon the women leadership development practices where we focus upon building women leaders from mid-management level and above. And we find that this is very important because we need to create more and more role models. At the entry level, especially from campus, our gender diversity percentage is very high. It's almost 42% of every campus batch which joins us comprises women. So we're very, very proud about that. Um, and the other question that you had was on how do you apply? As I mentioned, there are two ways to apply. One is there are already career opportunities which are there on the Mindtree career site where you could go ahead and apply and say that you're a woman transitioning to back to work. The other is very specific drives which Mindtree has, which I'm sure jobs for her team would also be alerted when Mindtree conducts such a drive. We had one in October last year, so we'll also have one shortly, is what I believe.
Okay, one last
Does that
question we'll
answer your?
take.
I have one more question. Like for example, having around 13 years of experience in testing, and now if I want to transit my career, say to HR, I actually took a break because my mother underwent a spinal surgery. So to take care of her, I took a break. Now I don't want to go back to IT industry for some time at least, so that because of the timings and all that. So if I want, my main interest also has been HR from long time, but did not get a chance to pursue that. So if I want to go back to HR at this point of time with 13 years of experience in testing, how will it be considered? Will I be a fit in, or for this career transition, what should I do? And do the companies welcome that? This is my question.
Sure. So in HR, what usually most organizations look for is a management degree in human resources. So that's something which they have as an entry criteria because, as I mentioned, there is some kind of a skill building which is required before entering a certain profession. What I do see coming up a lot more is the People Shared Services Group, which is basically into HR process outsourcing. And there is a probability of getting in without a management degree as well, which requires a lot of strong understanding of back-end processes. And both of them are very good career opportunities, in my opinion.
Can you come back on that? What is that? People, you said something? the
It's either
other?
people, so most organizations have something called a HRO, the HR process
Yeah.
outsourcing,
Oh,
which is
okay,
called
okay,
people
okay,
shared services. And there, that's a
okay.
very critical role because it looks after all the back end process management of all people activities in a company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay,
That would be a probable area for you to apply.
okay. And apart from this, in HR itself, any aspect of HR which does not consider the previous experience, like for which we can get into any field of HR that we can apply?
Yeah. So, barring people shared services, all other areas in HR are getting highly specialized. So one area where technology leaders can make seamless transition is on technology learning. So let's say you get into an L&D team as a tech trainer. That is something where the technology experience would be higher rated than a management degree. You could even think through
Okay.
that option.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, one last question which has come over on our Facebook chat page, which says that when you're looking to restart your career, most of the time your old networks have become outdated and you don't know where to restart with. So, like you said, that you will be, like seek some opportunities within the organization and look for sponsorships in your organization. How is it possible to get reconnected with the old network which has become outdated?
Yeah, there's something on networking which I truly believe is that networking is like a contact sport where you need to keep in constant touch with your key people in your network so that they don't either lose track of what you're doing as professionals and also believe that you have certain capabilities to transition back. So in my opinion, networking is a long-term view rather than a short-term view. To answer your question on, how do we get back with old networks? I would probably take some of the platforms which are already available, which are, for instance, some of the platforms such as Jobs for Her or LinkedIn or any other site, that professional networking site that you're comfortable with, and get back in touch with your networks and also let them know as to what are the capabilities that you've been building and what are the other different things that you've been doing during your career transition. So it's very important that you get their mind share. The second thing is to attend forums where you're able to network with more such people in person, because one is a platform can only do so much, but meet people so that you can just talk about what is out there and also share some of your experiences and learnings with the people. So that's another way. And I think Jobs for Her is also doing that, and I'm sure there are other forums that you would be part of. So there is no one answer to it. And of course, the third way is, let's say you know somebody who knows somebody who's a hiring manager. That will be a great route to actually go to a hiring manager directly.
Fine. Thank you so much. There's one more last question which came up saying that how important it is to upskill yourself when you're looking to restart your career.
Yeah, so I would again look at learning as a continuum and not an event. In many of the initiatives that we run in Mindtree, we look at it as a contrast between an event and a sustained process. So learning is one such. Upskilling is something that everybody needs to do, irrespective of whether transitioning or irrespective of the role, or even irrespective of how senior I get in the organization. So let's say even if I'm, let's say, the head of one of the verticals or business lines, I would need to upskill, otherwise I become less relevant. So I would strongly encourage all the wonderful women leaders here on the chat And this is something which is even to myself, where I keep telling myself that if I don't upskill, then I will become irrelevant very, very soon. So I would strongly encourage you.
Fine. Before we close down, do you have any other questions to ask Vidya?
Yeah, I just want to answer something which Soumya has written on the chat window on websites where you can upskill yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The wonderful world of learning, which is among, which is what is before us. You have many, many platforms which are available. Coursera, Audacity, EDX, then you have Simply Learn. So I think there are many, many such platforms which are there where you can get onto courses. Yes, they will be self-funded initially, but the returns are very, very heavy as long as you have a line of sight on the profession that you want to be in.
Vidya, one question I have on this Kushali again here. Uh, when you're saying that you get certified to these courses, how valid are the certificates when you look to apply into the organizations?
Certifications, I believe, are important because it gives you the base, at least a theoretical reference and some application-related projects. So they
Mm-hmm.
do help, especially when you're transitioning back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is 100% guarantee, getting a job is again very, very situational. But I would look at it this way: if I don't have a certification versus I have a certification, I would probably, take a person who's got the certification because I know that the
Right.
person has put in effort.
Mm-hmm. Great, because there are many so many sites which have come up with says that you can do this course, you can do that course, but then how valid it is was the question. Fine, thank you so much, Vidya. That answers my question. There's one more question which has come on the chat box. Rashmi has to ask, how should we ask for salary negotiation in percentage or in as per the industry standards if you have a break in your career?
Yeah. So, I was part of a forum where a very senior person from, one of our businesses, she answered this question. And, this is on her own experience of when she transitioned back. So basically, what she said was that she did not get the immediate career or the immediate salary level which she wanted. But once she got into the organization and started working and proving herself, that's when the equity also built over a period of time. So I believe that sometimes in career transition, there is a little bit of compromise on salary, which happens, and that's a reality. Because typically, they put you on the similar career level, or as somebody who has probably got a few lesser years of experience, and that's the reality. However, let that not deter you. Let that not be a gating factor for you to not apply. Take it on, and then from there, organizations do realize as to who are the people who work well, and then reward them over a period of time. So people have played catch up after a few years of being in the organization as well, and I've seen this in two cases. Very, very good friends of mine in Mindtree. I've seen that in them as well, where they've transitioned and they've played catch up. So please don't let it deter you. Is the only suggestion.
That's very important. Uh, Fine, I think we are done with most of the questions. Um, Vidya, thank you so much for your time. It was really, really helpful, and I think most of the valid questions were answered, and it has been really helpful for the participants who've been on the chat. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, participants, for taking out your time to attend this session. You can meet Vidya on the 28th of November at the Bangalore mentorship that we are having. I've already shared the link with you all. You can register yourself for that. And it's on 28th of November from 10:30 to 12:30. It is UB City, made in Punjab. Thank you, Vidya, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the Jobs for Her team as well as to all the attendees. I really enjoyed the questions. Thank you for your time and mind share.